It's a Wednesday, July 12th, 2023. Your Day Weather Podcast brought to you by Cowboy State Daily. Check them out at cowboystatedaily.com. Well, many of you have been questioning whether or not summer was ever going to get started. Now, it's been very summer-like west of the Divide for you Western Slope folks for quite a while, but as we know, Front Range areas and Plains areas have had a much cooler than average start to summer. Summer is finally kind of showing itself now in terms of patterns that we normally see in a summer season. So yes, I think it is finally summer in terms of the overall general pattern and how it's going to behave, which means that it's the little subtle things that will make the weather different day in and day out, as the larger, bigger features you have during the cold season, the spring season, kind of shift more towards just the little subtle pattern changes that happen that make the day-to-day weather patterns change a bit over time. This means warmer temperatures will continue through Thursday. It's been getting warm just about everywhere, or warmer. That trend will continue until a cold front backs in from the northern and high plains to the north and east of us, pushing westward along the divide for a bit of a cool down. By the end of the week and the weekend, that will lead to better thunderstorm chances, just kind of spotty thunderstorm activity in the region today and tomorrow. But as we get into Friday and Saturday, thunderstorm activity, especially Front Range and Plains and the desert Southwest, picks up again. We're going to see these nocturnal thunderstorms continuing into parts of the Corn Belt. Now, it's going to warm up again by the end of the weekend and early next week, especially Monday through Wednesday of next week, as some summertime heat will build across a lot of the West. Monsoonal moisture, as we've been hinting at, is going to become more and more of a factor as we go into next week, especially for you folks on the western slope and in the southwestern United States, as that monsoonal moisture, although off to a very late start, is finally showing itself. Had some overnight and early morning thunderstorm activity yesterday in northeastern Wyoming and western South Dakota, bringing some severe weather into some of those areas before heading off to the east. And you can see that in the satellite photo this morning. We're going to see this reoccurring, where we're going to have nocturnal or late day and overnight thunderstorms into the morning hours into parts of the Midwest and Corn Belt, as the thunderstorms are developing right along the edge of that cooler air up in Canada and the warmer air that's coming up from the southwestern United States. You can see some overnight thunderstorm activity here in far southern areas of Arizona, south of Tucson and near Tucson, and down into Mexico, and down here into Arkansas, Louisiana, then parts of the upper Midwest. The satellite water vapor photo shows you very easily where those thunderstorms are forming, where there's better moisture. Look at all the red and orange. The red and orange is a much drier air mass. Now, it doesn't mean you can't have thunderstorms. You do, like this guy right here in the Oklahoma Panhandle, but you certainly have a harder time getting it going. The deeper moisture plume building here in the southwestern United States and Mexico, and then more directed towards the Midwest than along the Gulf Coast. So this is going to lead to very little in the way of any widespread shower and thunderstorm activity. The two main players in our weather continue to be this high in the southwestern United States, this deep cold low in Hudson Bay, Canada. And it's a tug of war between these two. And it will continue to be a tug of war here for the next few days before that Hudson Bay low finally jogs itself loose and heads more off to the east. So we'll continue to have the heat bottled up in the south, cooler temperatures along the northern U.S. tier here. And you can see that. These are the temperature anomalies for today. You can see that it's very extensive, this area of cool air in central and eastern areas of Canada. And that's what's backing up against the northern plains into the Corn Belt and Midwest, while very hot weather here in the southwestern United States. And then, in western Canada and along the western coast, it's very, very warm. So you have really a contrast of air masses there. And that battle of air mass contrast continues to be right along the divide. So this is our thunderstorm chances for later today towards evening. There's those thunderstorms again building in the Corn Belt and in the Great Lakes, along the east slopes of the Canadian Rockies and into Montana. Some of that cooler moisture from Canada will make it a little bit easier for showers and thunderstorms to develop. And there's the monsoonal moisture in the southwestern areas of the United States, but very little going on in between. So you can see that's where the severe weather threat is going to be, more towards the Midwest. Now tomorrow, a little bit of an advancement of that cooler air from Canada will make the thunderstorm activity pop up a bit more. Tomorrow in the Dakotas, along the Front Range and eastern plains of Colorado and Wyoming, thunderstorm coverage gets going a little bit more than you can see in the southwestern United States, and there's a little bit of a strong to severe threat a little bit further west tomorrow. This is for Friday, very similar to what we're going to see on Thursday. Along that frontal boundary, more in the way of active showers and thunderstorms, Front Range areas out into the plains, then out into the Corn Belt. And this is where the severe weather threat will be for Friday. So this is kind of run-of-the-mill, pretty typical mid-July weather, really, as what we're going to see here over the next 72 hours. By Saturday, that Hudson Bay low, boy, is that stubborn. It's actually backing a little bit to the southwest, so that pushes the cooler air a little bit more to the west, while this high retrogrades a little bit more to the west, brings very, very hot weather to the Great Basin states, California, the desert southwest, while a large part of the nation, east of the Rockies, actually is going to be a little bit on the cooler side with that cooler air from that Hudson Bay low. So there's quite a bit of contrast, really, in terms of where you are in the U.S. in terms of temperatures relative to average. That will push the cooler air, look at that cool air, that'll push it right back up into the plains right there. This is for Saturday. So the weekend starts off cooler east of the divide. We still have plenty of heat in the south and west of the divide as we get the weekend started. And this is what the thunderstorm outlook is going to look like for Saturday. Notice the monsoonal moisture gets pushed a little bit more to the east and south, suppressed by that trough pushing southwestward. But along the west coast, west of the divide here, dry air dominates for now. However, things shift around a little bit. Now, this is by next Wednesday. That Hudson Bay low finally starts to move. It's not as much of a big player. This will end up moving up, then over that high, then going away. This will allow this high early next week to expand its influence a little bit more to the north and west, and this will bring the warmer air back into the region. But the clockwise flow around the high also is going to draw in that subtropical moisture. There's the heat for Tuesday. So early next week starts off hot, although you can still see the coolness still in the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes. But the heat from that high pushes more northward into the Rockies, both sides of the divide, so temperatures are going to rebound. And subtropical moisture from that monsoon, that arch, comes on in. This is by late Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. So the high is going to be right here, drier air right under it, but on the periphery. It's the periphery of the high where the moisture is going to go. So that's going to draw the moisture into areas on Colorado's western slope, into Nevada, Utah, into western areas of Wyoming, and across areas of Arizona. And voila, here you go. This is what we showed you yesterday, and we're going to be talking about this a lot. The periphery of the high, the edge, the ring, so to speak, is where the active showers and thunderstorms will be, and they'll tend to form late in the day, continue the evening and nighttime hours. So this is Tuesday, this is Wednesday, and this is Thursday. So you can see there during that period of time that monsoonal moisture cycles through. By Wednesday and Thursday of next week, Colorado's western slope, Utah, look at Arizona, really getting into the action, and will Thursday, and this will probably be Friday as well. And then you can see if you observe the pattern of where the thunderstorm activity is going to be, it's going to be right around the edges of the high. And this is typical when you start to get that monsoon pattern going. You get it kind of in a ring, and then the pattern will shift around a bit. The high will go a little more east. The high goes a little more west. It kind of wobbles throughout the course of the rest of July and into early August. And that kind of is the metering valve, so to speak, on where the thunderstorms are going to be as that moisture comes up from the south. But you can see the thunderstorm pattern right here by the middle parts of next week really gets going again. And then long term, this is going out to about 10 days. This is pretty interesting. We actually have the possible formation of another Hudson Bay low in the same spot. Patterns repeat. Sometimes we talk about this during the winter season where you'll get a pattern that will show up and stick around and then want to show up again. Well, this could very well by late next week kind of set us up again with another low in Hudson Bay and kind of keep a persistent pattern that's going to be cooler here and bumping up against the heat here. Basically the same situation that we've been in. That might develop by late next week and next weekend. Have yourself a great Hump Day Wednesday.